Welcome to another session of Together Live. It's been a while. Thank you for the confirmation. It's been a really long time, but this is one that genuinely I'm very excited about because Sir is a film that I managed to see on the big screen after 8 months. So that was really exciting for me. And you know what? I was super glad that I could like go back to the theater for a film that I was really excited to watch. I've been waiting for this movie to come out since it premiered at Cannes in 2018, and so it's even more exciting that I'm getting to talk to the lead actor, Tillotama Shome, and yeah, so I hope you guys are really excited as well. Hey everyone, hey. Just a quick thing. If you guys have questions, we're gonna take them at the end. So just hold on to them. But of course, feel free to share your thoughts about the film and sort of yeah, just chat. I'm just gonna wait. I'm just waiting for Tilotama to join, and then yeah, we can have a wonderful conversation. Hopefully.
Hey,
Hi,
hi,
I'm,
hi.
this is the first Insta live I'm doing. Please forgive me.
No
And
problem, no
I'm so
problem.
sorry. I'm
That's
so sorry.
okay.
I'm
How
so
have you
sorry you had
been?
to wait. I still can't figure technology, and plus the internet connection here is not that great. So I just
Oh.
want to say thank you to everybody who'll ever go watch this film, and to anyone who's seen this film, just in case this is the last thing I say to you that you can hear. Thank you, is all I want to really say.
Well, I hope that's like not the last thing we're gonna hear from you, and I'm just gonna pray to the internet gods that they're on your
Yes.
side.
Yes.
But thank you so much for joining in and like kind of doing this live with me. I've always been a huge fan of your work, honestly, and ever since I watched Qissa, and I'm not sure if you remember, we did this Q&A
Oh,
afterwards
I do,
on
I
the
do.
rooftop.
Of course,
Yeah,
they get
yeah.
very
That
well.
was yeah, that was isn't it crazy that the second time we meet it, like kind of doing this is
Yes,
also on the screen.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but
No, I'm really
um
happy. Which is I wanted to do it, so I'm sorry it's taken this long.
that's okay. I think if there's anything 2020 has walked most, it's time. So honestly, it's totally
Really,
fine.
hasn't it? Yeah, our
Yeah.
relationship with time has really taken yeah, transformation.
Uh-oh. Come on, internet god. Sorry, I think we lost
Yeah.
you for a bit in the middle. Yeah, hold on. Okay. I think it's coming back. Kind of fuzzy. Uh-oh. Are you guys able to see us both? Give us feedback, guys. And are we clear? Can we kind of go ahead with the conversation? You can hear me, right?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Cool. I think it's a little bit of a lag, but that's okay. I think we can just kind of go ahead. Um, Congratulations on the film. I was so happy that I finally got to watch it and also on the big screen. I mean, that was an amazing experience, but also what an amazing film. Like, wow, it was so subtle but so powerful and like so enjoyable. And it was just, I really, really loved it. And yeah, so massive congratulations to you and also to Rohina and the whole team for really just putting out this amazing thing. Thank you, actually, more than just congratulations. It was, I mean, I have never seen this subject, at all broached or a story like this ever kind of told. And um, yeah, I'm just so glad that it was told so well, because it's also such a unsaid and kind of a almost subtle and delicate like thing that we don't talk about, like, and so I'm so happy that it is told so well. Um, sorry, I'm just a little confused because I can't hear. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Sorry. So yeah, thanks so much for that. I wanted to, as I got into the film and started watching it, I was, of course, the character of Ratna is just incredible. The way she's written and like her personality, and also, of course, the way that you play her is incredible. So, as I was watching, I had thought, I was like, what was your first impression of Ratna when you read the script? I'm curious about that.
Well, I read the script actually when I was shooting for Death in the Gunj, and when I read the script, I really felt like I had blood on my hands. I felt guilty of the very thing that the film critiques. I felt like such a skunk. I felt like such a beast exists within me. Such a why is it that I have not had the courage to desire someone across class? I mean, it was the first thought that occurred to me.
Wow.
That I've not, of course, you believe you believe you're an evolved human being, or you're at least, if not evolved, I mean, you at least have a sense of knowing, um, what is fair. You think you at least have that much. You think you are basically maybe not such a bad person, and
Yeah.
then you read a script like this, and I really felt like I was extremely nervous about how is this script going to, where is the story going to go. What is the conclusion to a tale like this? How does it dare to end? And I could feel my sense of anxiety, because I wasn't. I was just hoping, oh my God, it would be so trite if it was a happy ending, or if
Yeah.
it was like a tragic ending. Or how do you end something that's not even begun in this country?
Yeah.
you know how do
Yeah.
you end a story where when I was looking online, just I wanted to see what are the stories in our cultural imagination, in our shared in imagination of perhaps I thought in my naivety maybe there are stories in films, not films, but that there may be stories of personal narratives of people who dare to romance across class, and perhaps even get married, and perhaps or friendship, or like pen friends, maybe, like,
Yeah.
or love, or camaraderie. I thought perhaps there would be, given that our country has, uh, been a slave to this incredibly classist way of thinking. I was sure that there would be stories on the internet of people who
Mm.
have challenged that and shared, and a community perhaps that talks about it. There's nothing except pornography.
Really.
So it left me cold. It left me cold to think that the only way, even in the world of fiction, uh, where we imagine a friendship or romance or desire across class, is relegated to one of the most to such an exploitative uh, realm. And that's
Yeah.
when I realized that, my God, I really do want to do this film, but it is such a fine line to not make it at any point of time voyeuristic or
Mm.
indignifying, or like something salacious is happening.
Yeah.
I read some comment, like it broke my heart, and I was ready for it though. Oh, it's like a shiny ahuja thing, whatever. Like making it immediately something which is either clandestine, illegal, unjust.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you live in an environment which can only imagine this,
Yeah. Yeah.
in where the in a way that is so degrading, the responsibility for all of us who are part of the film, every single individual, it became immense. That
Mm.
at no point, it's better to not do a film than to do a film like this and mess it up. So it was extremely nerve-wracking. I think every day of the shoot for Vivek, uh, and I, to really, like, hold on to Rohena's that strict instruction that no matter what Ratna goes through, she never loses her sense of dignity. um,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it would be great in another culture, another time, when yeah, perhaps we can look at ourselves a little bit more honestly and a little bit more, and really shake up this beast that exists within us, and really challenge it and tame it, so that we don't think about something like this as impossible, or relegated to the, to such exploitative space. Perhaps there could be a Ratna that is not dignified, but we're not ready for that, you know. Uh, but I think for the story to even, for it to exist and for it to not be seen as exploitative, Rowena, who personally experienced and questioned this kind of inequity growing up, framed it within the brackets of love. And felt that that makes it equal, because I mean, if like she says it in every interview, if you love somebody but they don't love you back, what are you going to do?
The heartbreak doesn't change, right? That feeling of heartbreak doesn't change at all, who the person is, or where they're from, or how long you love them.
Yeah, exactly. But what made me feel guilty is that I've never actually okay, let's say I'm going to give you an example, because we live in such a class-driven society, that you get into an Uber. Do you check the Uber driver and think, oh, is he hot? Is he cute? Would I go for a date with him? Or would you just be on your phone, chatting with somebody who you think might be cute but who's not paying any attention to you? But I'm just giving this as an example, that this is class. This is class that is so deeply, invisibly ingrained in us that we will not even find ourselves in a situation where we've actually fallen in love.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I think sorry.
No. I'm speaking fast because who knows when this internet will go.
I know. Sorry about that. But so one of the reasons that first kind of attracted me to this film when I heard the story was.
Oh, Rajshri is here. Hi, Rajshri.
Yes.
Thanks for joining.
Film.
Which film, sir? It's playing in the cinemas.
Yes.
And it's going into its third week.
This is such a great. I'm so glad that you guys chose to, wait and open it on the big screen, because I would not have gone to the theater if Sir had not been playing on it. I feel that through the lockdown, so many things have changed, but especially our relationship with the movies has changed completely. And that experience is such a big part of it.
Yes.
So, I'm really glad and happy that you guys waited to release the film.
That's all, Rowena. Just wanted to say that it's really Rowena's. She was just stubborn,
Yeah.
It's not easy to hold on and not put your film on an OTT platform and wait for a beloved country. This film, it was really important for this film to release in India, and it released in 25 countries theatrically, and India wasn't happening. So it was really painful. It was really painful for her, for all of us, and but she stuck it out. We were up against big films when we were planning to release it in March before the pandemic hit us, and then the fight was with big films, and then it became with COVID. So I'm really I'm so surprised by her absolutely invincible spirit for it to release the way she wanted it to, and make a choice that perhaps I mean, time will tell.
I mean, I think it was a great idea. I'm curious, how was because the film premiered at Cannes in 2018. How did the audiences there take it? I think it's different when you having house help is not an everyday reality of your life, which it is of course not in the West. So I'm very curious about their reaction and how they took it. And did you get any interesting kind of comments on it or anything?
And this kind of classist behavior is so unique to our culture that sorry, can you hear me at all?
It was cracking in the middle. I couldn't actually.
I'm so sorry. So we were apprehensive about how they would decode something that is so uniquely Indian in this kind of class. They were like, I thought they'd be like, what's the big deal? You know, like, why can't he be in love with her? Why can't she be, like, they really responded to it, because I think even if you are in a country like Europe, which is, which looks at dignity of labor differently than we do, and uh, I think within all of us, there's a sense of looking up. I mean, this sense of power dynamic of hierarchy exists universally, where we bow down to people who we think are in a position of power, and we treat them with greater courtesy, and treat people who we think are less than us, with disdain, or with a sense of cold casualness, and I think perhaps that is a universal feeling. I think perhaps people were really crying, and were moved with the film, perhaps because Ratna's character is so hopeful, and I think perhaps that was the universal appeal. Like, there's a sense of joy that she has, a sense of, like, really all the cliches that don't make for film noir. She lives them, and she has that in her eyes and her smile, and this desire to dream beyond her station. And I think no matter who you are, where you are, you might, you would have been made to feel at some point in your life that, but you can't do this, but would you do something like that? So I think we've often we've experienced that. I think that is perhaps a universal experience of being told you can't do something because you don't really have it in you to do it. I think perhaps people respond to that. I don't know, but I don't know. Like, I don't get into these things too much. But it was nice that they liked it. Thank God, and the film won a distribution award, where which is a way of saying that we like the film, but we really think the people will like the film. So it was an award to help distribute the film, which was really cool. It would have been it's nice to get critics award and jury awards and all, but it really was nice to get a distribution award, because they really felt, and they were right. The film ran in France for, I think, some 13 weeks or some ridiculous number of, and was one of the top Indian films to do that well. And the other two films that did that well in France was Salam Bombay and Lunchbox. So I don't know. I'm what is it that connects, but I feel maybe.
I think it was also because both the characters, in fact, were so relatable for such different reasons, and what I really loved about the film the most is that it had a very clear and sort of non-judgmental attitude towards both of them. So you really, really rooted for them both, and you understood exactly where each of them came from, like what position they came from. But like, you did not, there was absolutely no kind of judgment, and it was easy to imagine them together in a different life, and I think that really added to like their appeal, because I was watching the film and I'm like, man, I'm not sure if like, I think Ratna would have made the first move, in a different life. Like, I got that feeling. And then there were some scenes where I was like, I don't think she would have even given him the time of day, honestly. So there were so many
But that
moments.
speaks so much about you, actually, who you are. I mean, there are people who can't imagine it. I mean, there've been audience members I remember someone in Melbourne being like, oh, but, why couldn't it end with them being like, together and like married, and, why does it have to end in this ambiguous kind of way? So I'm like, well, this is the filmmaker's imagination. He said, but, we need to become more accepting, and, so I was like, oh yeah, no, it's so wonderful to hear that. So you were just basically saying that you wouldn't have an issue, right? If do you have a daughter? And he was like, yeah, I do. He said, so I'm saying, oh, that's wonderful that I'm really happy to meet you. That you wouldn't have a problem if your daughter started dating the man who was driving your car. And he was like, no, that And he just looked so
Oh.
lost, and he was standing like,
Ah.
"No, how is that going to be possible?"
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like,
Interesting.
"Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
This is the director's imagination, But I really feel like the responses that, when you come from a position, your entitlement, your privilege, uh, your response to the film really is whether you like the film or not, whether you think it's cinematic or not, whether you think it's a good film or not. But your reaction to the film, the story, will reveal what you feel about class inherently,
That's actually so
and
true
about
because
desire and love.
yeah.
I think for sure, and I think because I felt absolutely naked when I read the script. I don't want to get into the litany of self-hate that I felt, because there are many things I'm very, very ashamed of. And
How like in what ways did you kind of eventually find yourself relating to her? Because did you find yourself relating to her?
I mean, she's like an ideal, right? I mean, she's so happy. I'm miserable so much, so often, There's such a sense of hope. I mean, what's there not to like? The relating part was she's aspirational. She has a sense of pride in who she is. I mean, someone says, "Oh, so you want to be a tailor?" She says, "No, I don't want to be a tailor. I want to be a designer. Like I know the
Yeah,
difference in nomenclature.
yeah.
I know how the rich use language to oppress. She knows it. There's an inherent sense of what is fair and what is unfair. So it's extremely attractive to have someone who is I mean, it's like for me, I feel like Rowena is an utter romantic and completely idealistic to have written this kind of character. And if, my Ratna would have had, many warts and many shortcomings, but she was like absolutely aspirational. So to play someone who never loses her sense of dignity, to play someone who is so dignified in such indignifying situations, uh, and also knows she's very aware of the system within which she exists. She's not somebody
Yeah.
who's naive,
Yeah, yeah.
And she has a sense of humor, and the sense of lightness about her,
Yeah,
which
definitely.
great fun.
Uh,
It was really fun to do.
yeah. And how did you do,
How do you do this Instagram thing? The people like writing things. Do you read it
I
and
know.
talk to me? Like, wow,
I
this is
know.
so new.
So
Like I've never done this.
yeah, it is. I mean, the
Ratna
first few
is
times that
staying
I
in
did
my
this
heart
was,
forever. Thank you. Okay, so
yeah,
we should like read one or two, and then
I
go back
think
to it.
so. I think so.
Feedback.
I do think we kind of do take questions also, but people keep commenting, which
Right,
is kind of
right.
really sweet. Loved you in a Death in the Gun. Yes, me
Thank
too.
you.
I loved a Death in the Gunj also. I saw it actually. I think two times, or yeah, two times in the theater, and then like once
Yeah.
afterwards as well. We even
I
seen it
love that
across the
film.
plot
I love
actually.
working on it.
Yeah, you were so good in that also. I mean, I love like, I mean, of course it was an ensemble cast, but the way that you pulled off Bonnie also was amazing. It was very subtle, very understated.
Thank you so
So
much.
going back to Sir though, I remember when we talked about Qissa, you had gone into a great deal of detail about how you prepped for that role, and that you had to do all of those, even all the physical exercises that are like so big part of Cover's life. I'm wondering if you had a similar approach to playing Ratna. How did you kind of get into his
Ratna
skin?
was actually very, very. It was a different process, a different film. I had to learn Marathi for
Oh yeah,
that one scene in that where Ratna goes back home and to
yeah.
talk to her sister on the phone. It was nerve-wracking, man. I've spent 10 years in Bombay, not being able to learn this language, and then and it's going to release in Bombay at some point,
Yeah.
and I'm going to it's not like some. I live in this city. I'm not going to
Yeah.
escape the judgment, of not getting it right. It was really nerve-wracking, but I mean, I tried my best, and Rowena was very, very supportive. That was a nerve-wracking part. And there was a workshop with Pushpendra, who is this incredible director himself. You must check out his work. So Pushpendra did the workshop for us, and he was the DA on Qissa, so he kind of knows my weakness and he knows me. He has watched me, so he was really able to guide Gomba and me in a way that was very, very helpful. The workshop really helped us understand what we should not do, and finding the walk, the voice, the explorations. I think it started really from that workshop, and I think then the through line was really for me about people have said something like, I remember a journalist once saying that, how did you get all the mannerisms of of a maid? So I'm like, what mannerisms? I chose a certain set of mannerisms for this person. I'm not, there is no set mannerisms for a particular profession that all people have. All doctors have the same mannerisms. No. Do all teachers have the same? If you have to play a teacher, you might base your character on a particular teacher. But when someone says, you really got the teacher's mannerisms right. No. But when it comes to someone, of a class that you would like to see an entire class of people as a homogeneous blob, as opposed to individual dynamic individuals, then as an actor, you're called upon to find the mannerisms that would best let you, the audience, know that I am a maid. I hope you know, because, I am a maid, and didn't do any prep like that. Ratna has a lot to do. I saw that house when we went to the house. This house, if she has to clean, cook, she's the only worker in this house. There's going to be speed because time is of essence. You have to cover literally square foot, like like in Bombay, to have a house like that, a high-rise building. So when I thought, like, okay, if I have to, like, and with the pandemic, we've all done jharu pocha in our little apartment and know how much time it takes, right, to do it. So then I see, look at this room, and plus when she cooks, she's not like just cooking, right? She lays the table, the napkin is in a napkin holder, there's decoration, there's a lot of she takes great pride in the presentation, and she's learned these things. She's acquired the accoutrements of class, which we all find certain things aspirational, right? Like so Ratna wants to pick these qualities. She's inherently curious, and she wants to know. She wants to learn, and she sees these things that she likes, and she wants to incorporate it in her housekeeping skills. And so I realized, okay, she has to cover so much ground, so my body language has to be fast. So she works really fast. She's very meticulous because she may not be able to come back to that part of the room again. So there is that. So it changed the body language. So is my body language based on, like, oh, so authentic, just like a maid? Like, oh, I don't know two domestic workers or two didis who worked in my house who have the same body language. So, like, is there research from, like, have I researched by trying to see how maids work? No, not at all. Not at all. I saw how this, in fact, Rowena has she's clearly must be very good at housekeeping, because, she taught me that, when Ashwin is sleeping, Ratna goes and puts the blanket over him, but the blanket has to be folded in a certain way so the person can just, when they pull it this way, the whole blanket opens up. I had no idea. I've always folded a blanket.
Wow.
I think I've lost you, no? Again?
Yeah, a little bit we lost that.
Little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
but you're back.
So yes, so basically,
wow, that's very
the things,
meticulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting you're saying that, because now that I'm thinking about it, I often have that problem. I'll hurriedly take the blanket myself and not even bother. And then, but now that it's crazy that she kind of thought of that in that much that much detail. But you're right. I mean, I think a lot of it also has to do with the fact that we're so used to seeing certain roles in India that are, like, just filled by people from a certain class, and suddenly when you, like, put those two together, people expect it, like, it's become like a stereotype almost, and and uh, I'm not surprised somehow that we think of like certain mannerisms as like being associated with an entire profession.
Exactly.
It's
I mean,
it's so
unless
bizarre.
a certain profession gives you like a baker has a bad back because they're constantly bending, right? That makes
Mm,
sense.
mm.
But to think like all doctors have a certain mannerism, no, they
Yeah,
don't. There's a doctor whose gait
yeah,
could be
yeah,
really lazy. There's a doctor whose gait could be very efficient. There's a doctor who could be very like, I mean, yeah. But it
It's
actually just
crazy.
reveals about us, right? That we have bought into an idea of what a maid uh, is, which is authentic. What is an
Yeah,
authentic
yeah,
performance? Actually, I don't care about authenticity, uh, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I used to think earlier on that, it's really important for me to be, you know, authentic. I think, yeah, it's something I question now.
I'm wondering because, of course, the way that, the film has been shot and the way that Rohina has kind of used space in the film has been written about a lot, and you really do notice it. So, apart from like not just the scenes, where they're sharing the wall and then the camera moves that way, but also one of the first scenes when Ashwin comes home and he's really pissed off about something. So he sits on the couch and then he's reading something and he throws it down. And Ratna is bringing him dinner, but she realizes that, okay, he's mad. So maybe I'm just gonna sort of back off. And just because of the way that it's, it's funny because I feel like we've all been in those situations, but we've never seen it like this. You've never seen like what both people might do at the same time. I found those kind of scenes are like, really what brought the film alive. And then uh, also what made it, I think, so 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 kind of powerful and lingering, because it's those scenes that suddenly show you view that you haven't seen before, but you all live with. I'm thinking now that that must happen so many times. And it's happened where I'll be like sitting and working on my laptop and in the middle of some kind of Zoom session video thing, and like my poor mate, she's just trying to like do the jadu. And like after watching these films, I'm never gonna look at those situations in the same way ever again, just because I've seen it from that sort of camera angle, I guess. I love that about it, but also I think like the way that you and Vivek Gombar, your chemistry together was also incredible, and I think that was one of the reasons that I was able to think so freely of things like, would in another life, would Ratna have kind of given him the time of day or anything like that? Because I actually thought that as personalities, they really match together, like the two characters. So he's kind of like this cynical, shy-ish guy, and she's like, this burst of optimism and like hope. And I think like the way that you guys also pulled it out, that chemistry you guys had was really amazing. So I mean, did you guys prepare for that together, or did you guys rehearse any scenes before,
Oh
or
yeah,
how was
the
that
workshop with
process for you?
Pushpendra was with both of us to really
Yeah.
find that rhythm, and we are also very close friends. So we were even more nervous because, we didn't want our friendship to come in the way of our ways of working. It was the first
Mm,
time we are very close friends and we were working together for the first time. So I think we were very cautious of that as well. And so Pushpendra's workshop really made us realize what we are up against in terms of
mm,
like the work that needs to go in. And then as Rowena started giving us directions, and we he lives in Bandra, I live in Varsova, so I would pick him up and then we would in a taxi, and we would spend that time preparing and talking about the day, the scenes that we had to do,
mm,
and we would do our day, and then uh, and it was scene after scene, right? Because we were in every scene. There was no time to chill, to
yeah.
like really just rest, so we knew we had to do our homework before we got into that car, and we used
Mm,
that car ride to really understand This is our last.
Oh, uh-oh, I think we possibly lost her again. Hi,
Oh,
you're
hi.
back.
Okay.
Hi,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I am sorry.
I think
I'm so
we.
sorry. And yeah, and we would use the time, we would write back together as well after the day was over. So we could really we made a pact that we'll be brutally honest to each other. It's every day of shoot. We have only these many days. We don't have to be polite. So please tell me what worked and what didn't work today for you. Was there any moment where you felt I could have supported you better and I didn't? There was an opportunity, I could have done something which we discussed and we didn't do. So we were really honest with each other on our way back that, yeah, this could have happened better so that we could use that the next day. So I really, our friendship, in fact, became a huge gift because we knew that opportunities like this, where we get to play protagonists in a film, where a director trusts us with parts that are headlining a film, are so rare, and we have been so hungry for it. We've done so many smaller parts in big films and fought really hard to even get those parts that, when in the last few years to get parts like this is something we've been so hungry for so long, that it was great to have a co-actor with whom there was no finish point to the work. Like, we were working
Mm,
round the clock. If at 3 in the morning I had an idea, I would message it to him, think about this in the morning, but I really think we could play the scene like this. Or if he felt the same way, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it with some other actor. They would be like, go home. It's like, it's wrap time. Like, I'm not discussing this. We've done our workshop, we've done our day, but I think that's what made Gomba, the chemistry really came from just pure hard work of two actors who are really hungry and realize that an opportunity like this doesn't come to us that often. So we are going to juice it.
yeah,
We are going to make the most of it. We are going to, so that we know that the effort that we put in uh, remains to be an unforgettable memory for the rest of our lives. Uh, and just hope that we can walk that tightrope of never making these two characters come across as if there's anything salacious happening or something which is voyeuristic or something that is dirty, uh,
yeah,
or something that's not kosher and is something that's not, that would have broken us. And
yeah,
in order to walk that kind of tightrope, we really needed to measure how we are even breathing in each scene, how that's calibrated, how the breath even, speeds up in each scene. And to even we Rohena tried, and the production, our producer Rakesh Mehra was amazing in trying to make us shoot as much in sequence, but it's not always possible. It's film,
mm,
and there's expenditures involved. So especially if something was out of sequence, to really understand, but oh, we've already gone through that, which we haven't shot. So we must, if you're playing it like this, it's going to impact that. So
wow.
that kind of calibration that the film needed.
Wow, wow. I think that's amazing because it shows honestly like it's I and this was something also that kind of came to my mind when I was watching it. There are so many moments in the film where um there's a scene, it'll play out, but then what that scene actually did, you feel afterwards. Like it's like um the scene where Ashwin comes back and his phone, they're having a conversation. I think she's telling him
Yeah,
about her sister, and his phone rings, and I didn't
yeah.
realize immediately that it's his mother at all. It rings, she sees he doesn't, and the landline rings immediately, and she answers and she just says, "Sir, ghar pe nahi hai, madam." And like that happened so fluidly that I realized only afterwards, and then they both kind of share a smile that, oh, it was maybe his mom or something like that, and that was that connection. So there were so many moments like that in the film where I was like, I think there's a secret being shared here, and I'm like, kind of being made privy to it, and so it was nice. It was such a wonderful experience to kind of um, have that discovery in like every scene of the film.
It's in the
I
writing.
loved
It's
it.
not that script.
Yeah,
So,
I really, it was fabulous, like so well written. Um, so when I was just kind of researching you a little bit for this thing, this is not actually about show, but but you I read somewhere that while you were in New York, you did educational theater, and that you taught theater at a prison, at a US
yes.
prison. um how did you kind of arrive, how did you make that decision, and how was that experience um for you?
The decision was very clear. I actually only went to New York. I would have gone to Barrackpore, Madhya Pradesh. I would have gone anywhere to learn from this particular teacher called Chris Vine. Uh, because when I realized that what had happened to me, for me, doing theater was very therapeutic. It helped me get over a speech impediment. So I knew that something had happened to me, you know, in my LSR days. Um, and I knew it changed something in me. It changed the chemistry of something inside me, and and when I looked online, and which was difficult those days, you had to go to a cyber cafe, and you had to book a time, and uh, I might lose
Yeah.
a lot of you. You may not understand what that means, but anyway, I'm 41, so hey, we've we've
Those
had
definitely
the
cyber
cyber
cafe
cafe
days.
generation.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've
uh,
definitely been in those.
so I came across drama therapy, and I realized it was it was being used as a tool, and how, I mean, Augusto Boal used it in Brazil for for revolution, as a rehearsal for revolution, for farmers to stand up against fascist rulers. It was taken on by an educator called Paulo Freire, and there was a movement internationally where people were using the arts for various in various really dynamic ways. And by that I don't mean street theater or activism necessarily, but it was also like where chalk and talk method of teaching and instruction failed. uh, Drama therapy became a really powerful tool, and it's a very, very complex, it's a very finely calibrated process that you have to go through in order for the participants of the drama therapy to experience uh, a sense of transformation. And Chris Vine was being touted incredible teacher for this. So I saw he was teaching at NYU, and then I applied for NYU. That's how that really happened. And of course, I got through, but then I didn't. They couldn't offer any scholarship. So there's no way I could have, come from an Air Force officer's family, afford a tuition in a expensive private elite American university. And then years passed, and I worked really hard, and I managed to get the INLAC scholarship, to whom I'm very, very grateful to the INLAC's foundation that they funded my education there. And and once I went, Chris was working for a company called the Creative Arts Team. So Chris was one of my professors at NYU, and he was working at the Creative Arts Team that did drama therapy work in various avenues, domestic violence shelters, at Rikers Island, which is the prison that you're talking about,
Yeah.
and also helping in schools, which are like metal detector schools, where there was a lot of violence. And also to help Arabic and Chinese population, immigrant population, who are having a difficult time integrate with the mainstream American society. So that was Creative Arts Team was working in all these fields. So when I was close to 6 months away from graduation, I told Chris that, look, I've only come here. No, I've not come here for NYU. If you were teaching under a tree, I would have learned under the tree. I don't even care for a degree. You know, uh, so I just want to work and learn from you. And so I know that you are the creative head of a particular company and really want a job there. So he was like, but you haven't even graduated. You're already pushing yourself. You're quite. I was like, yeah, I want a job because if I don't get a job, I'll have to. My visa is a student visa. It's going to expire. So I need a job in your company because that's why I left my home and my
Wow.
family. So I think I put so much pressure.
Wow.
There was the only international student in that whole college. I mean, that in our batch was me and this other guy from Cuba, and so I think he
Wow.
just felt like, God, this Indian girl is just like, the poochha nahi chhodne wali hai. And so
Yeah.
I interviewed for his company. He didn't take my interview. Um, and I joined um, the part of the company which was doing workshops at prison and domestic violence shelter. And Keith Johnston was heading that. And so Keith was my boss, and my goodness, it was just incredible. It was incredible to have learned that whatever Chris taught us in college could have only been learned in actually doing it and falling on your face, because process work is not about giving answers, but it's about creating the most powerful story which raises questions in people's minds, and different people will react to it differently. So if the drama is rich, the drama is not so much about how good the actor is or how well they performed it. Of course, performance is very important, but the writing and the performance, the aim of the performance is for the audience that is watching it, for them to refract against the story their own experiences. So it has to be open-ended enough, and it has to have multiplicity of meanings. It can't just mean one thing, that this is what this, and if it does that, then when you come out of the drama, so the two of us, we would, the way it works is that the two actors who go into a space and they perform a story, and after the story is performed, everyone talks about what the story is really about, and they're like, yeah, but he shouldn't have hit her and she shouldn't have taken it, and let's say domestic violence, okay, is what. So we're like, okay, you know what, we'll do the story again, we'll perform it again, but this time why don't you stop her wherever you think she should do something different. So then they would stop you, like, oh, don't let him order for you. Why don't you order your own food? Why is he ordering for you? I'm like, it's not a big deal that he's ordering for me. It's my first date. It's okay. And he's like, but this is what's going to happen. He's going to eventually beat you, right? I'm like, listen, I think I'm making a big deal of it. So I'm actually trying to be like, no, it's okay. So I'm pushing them to basically push me into going where they should actually go in life. So it's really, I'm really oversimplifying it, but the role of the person who is facilitating process drama and drama therapy is not just to be a good actor, but when you start facilitating what you just performed, that's when your real training as an actor comes out, because then the real challenge of a drama therapist is to ask the right questions, not to give any answers, but because when you ask the right questions, the person in front of you starts thinking about their choices, and that was the point of drama therapy, that life may not give you a second chance to rehearse what to say to somebody when you want to say no, but you do it anyway because you're so scared, or to take that violence and keep quiet about it, and not even know how it escalated to that moment of violence. What did you do that led to it, in the first place? So this is really like a rehearsal for life. So I think that training with Chris and falling on my face and realizing what a great facilitator he is and what a idiot I am, that like how bad I am at this, like I only realized it once I started doing it. That I don't know if and this is a thing with everything, right? With even with acting, like when I started and I saw my seniors on LSR stage and Piyush Mishra doing a 15 characters, it's like it always seems it's so impossible to reach this kind of level of excellence. So I really feel that, like I think in retrospect I thrive in such situations because I'm not afraid like to be the worst one in the class, but being with people who are so good, you don't realize how much you take in, and it may be something that you begin to only reflect many years later. But because Chris was such a good teacher and Keith was such a great boss, like within 6-7 months, we started finding like, oh man, it's not about us showing off how great we are as actors. It's really about actually taking away your ego and really focusing on, how can we facilitate a most dynamic conversation. And a lot of acting, I feel, it's that it takes the pressure off you in a scene. When if my focus is how can I do what can I do so that Gombo like gets everything, when the camera it's his close up. And we often would say that how our performance was so much better when the camera was not even on us. you know, when it was his
Yeah,
close up, because I'm not concerned, right? The camera's not on me. I just want to make
yeah,
sure that everything I give him, every take I give him a different rendition, so that he has something more to
right.
play with, and maybe that triggers
That's
something,
awesome.
and
Mm.
his was the same, right? His concern was, how can I not make her fail, in the scene. And I think working at Rikers, being in prison, being privy to stories of people who just made that choice, that uh, and the same person, another person makes the same choice, and they're out of prison because of their privilege and entitlement, and
Yeah,
to know that, to hear those stories, to see people who are serving time, you know, and literally serving time. Uh,
yeah,
Really, I think taught me more about acting than any film school could have taught me. Because I really do believe that acting, that cinema, not acting, I think cinema really makes you experience time differently, right?
yeah, for
In,
sure.
in those 2 hours, 3 hours, you can see an entire person's life,
Yeah,
or you
definitely.
experience a day, you
Yeah.
experience generations. So it's really how it teaches you how to experience it. It is an experience of time, and prison really taught me that.
Yeah.
Working in prison really taught me that.
It's interesting what you said just a minute ago about this form of acting that you did, uh, encouraging you to ask the right questions, like get the right questions asked from the audience. I think that was kind of one of the most amazing things of Sir, actually, because um,
Yeah,
it asks the right questions, but without any hint of malice at all, and it's so wonderful to have that kind of treatment, and just that kind of that walking out of something like that is so nice. And I I I that thing you said, when you said it, I was like, that's what they did in Sir, exactly. They performed in a way that you walk out asking certain questions, and you don't even know why. Like, you walk out of the movie mentally having crossed that bridge, without realizing at what point in the film you crossed it. Which is what
yeah.
I found wonderful about the film.
It's
Yeah.
because you are
So
wonderful
I
and you
think
are hard romantic.
I
So
am.
uh,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. A little bit.
So
But
part two, I shall definitely ask Rowena.
yeah. So I think, unfortunately, we might be running out of time soon, because there's like this 1 hour limit on this. Um, but thank you so much for
No,
having this
thank
chat
you.
with me. It's been an absolute pleasure to listen to your process, and just to hear your thoughts about this film, which is so moving and so deep, and to kind of hear about where it came from for you has been amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having me. Thank
Yes,
you.
it's been a pleasure. And yeah, thank you to everyone who kind of has tuned in, and for
Thank you
sharing
so
all of
much. I'm so
your.
sorry I have not responded to any of the messages. I love you too, because I
Yes.
didn't know. I felt it was disrespectful if I don't look at her while talking instead of looking at the comments. So, uh, but
Thank
I'll
you,
get the hang
thank
of it.
you. I know it's like
Thank,
this is like the maximum amount of multitasking I have. I think this format
yeah,
is like the
yeah.
maximum amount of multitasking online that
I
I
don't
can
think
do,
I'm
though.
I'm 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 cut
Yeah.
out for it yet, but I will try and get there. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lost the
Yes.
Plot. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks, Tillotama. And
Bye.
Sir, for everyone who's here, is in theater still. It's in week 3.
Yes.
If you're worried, find a matinee show. That's what I did, and go and watch it in the big on the big screen. But having said that, I felt quite safe going to the cinema. Keep your masks on. Carry hand sanitizer.
Yeah,
The
please be
cinema that I
safe.
went to didn't have
Really, there
popcorn
is no
in the
greater
theater,
treasure than
so
life. So please,
yeah,
please be safe.
yes.
And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Tillotama.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 All right. So yes, thank you everyone for joining in. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll be putting this out on our IGTV. So, uh, please do share it with friends who you think would like it, and you can also always watch it again. Yeah, stay tuned and watch what's in the cinemas. And bye. Have a good night.